Let's talk Punchestown, will we? And how are we going to win some money this week?
We need to win some money, Ger.
The big
Your WhatsApp groups are letting you down.
They are, yeah. The big story, obviously, is whether or not there will be a proper competition when it comes to the trainers' title. Is it a done deal? Is Gordon going to win?
No, definitely not. Like, one bookmaker this morning, I think, is 4 to 6 that Willie Mullins will win more than Gordon every day. So that's 5 days he's going to win more every day. So if he wins more every day, he needs to find about $500,000. But there are 4 $250,000 races, right? And the first one of those $250,000 races is on Tuesday, where Duvan and Min could conceivably finish first and second, which itself would be 200 grand. All of a sudden, it's 300 grand.
Yeah.
That's so
Game
40% on. Wiped out. Willie, last year, he won it with a bit to spare. Despite narrowly losing out in 2 of the big races, he still won it with a bit to spare, and he had about 400 grand fined. So the really interesting aspect of this is Sam Crow, who's a novice, I think will run against the senior hurdlers on Friday to potentially deny Willie winning one of those 250 grand races and to swing it to Gordon. And I think he may need Sam Crow to win that race. Now, whether that's a factor in Michael and Eddie O'Leary of Jigginstown actually deciding whether this novice should take on the seniors or not is a moot point. I think it probably is, because I think professionally they abandoned Willie Mullins, whether they like it or not, in September of 2016. They put most of their eggs into Gordon Elliott's basket. They just want Gordon Elliott to be very good, which he has been, and they want him to win the title, preferably at Willie Mullins' expense. Whether or not they say that publicly, and they're more savvy than David Moyes when it comes to public utterances, they do want Gordon Elliott to win the title, and it may hinge on possibly the best horse they've ever had in Sam Crow. So will they help Gordon Elliott? I think they will.
So they've got to pick. What are the options for Sam Crow?
So he has sort of 3 options, really. He can, two novice races or the champion hurdle. Now, last year they ran a novice in the champion hurdle, but that was Lebeek. And if you remember Lebeek, despite the fact that he was owned by a very dubious set of people, as has been well reported, he also was a recalcitrant, and he planted himself at the start very often, which he did earlier in the week. So he was running a novice company, planted himself to start, didn't fancy it. Whatever they did, they managed to get him to run on the Friday, but they pitched him against the senior hurdlers. So they're going to do that with Sam Crow. Now, Sam Crow, I think, but Sam Crow is a much, much better horse, and long term, they're wondering, could this be the Great White Hope, better than Don Cossack? But notwithstanding the consideration of the title race, they don't know whether they want to go hurdling next season or chasing, and they also don't know whether he's a Gold Cup horse or a 2 mile horse. And running him against 2 mile hurdlers, the likes of Mellon, will help clarify a lot.
Okay, so that was your tweets, which was who's going to go off favourite. Will it be Mellon or Sam Crow?
That was with Rory Delargy on the Matchbook podcast, and it was actually we were talking with us at the time. It was kind of like we're discussing this podcast, and while we're discussing this, I'm actually going to put this up, and this is the way modern social media is. By the time we end this podcast, I can be able to tell you that I was right, or at least that people will agree with me. But it's 85%, I think, voting Sam Crow, because he probably shouldn't be favourite in crude form terms, but the hype is so big about him. It's kind of like, should we start the 18-year-old out half or the 25-year-old that has achieved more? Well, the 18-year-old is just something special. He's better. And Sam Crow, I think, will definitely go off favourite. Now, it's not set in stone that he'll run in that race, but I hope he does. It'll make for a hell of a race. And if we're into the Friday and Gordon is like 200 or 300 grand up, something like that, Willie'd be like, this race is going to decide everything. And Sam Crow winning could engender a lot of relief there.
Just before we've obviously spoken before about the golden age for Irish racing. Is it cyclical, or is this actually now the fundamentals of the industry are that you have massive investments at every level? So you've got big owners with loads of money, and you've got big trainers who understand exactly what they're supposed to be doing, and that is actually now how it's going to be. The whole notion of English football success being cyclical, well, actually it's not really cyclical. They always have the money, or have now for 20 years had the money from TV, and that seems like it's going to continue. So that's the most important money league in the world. Is Irish racing now at a point where you're always going to have an O'Leary and his money and his family's money, and you're always going to have a McManus and his money and his family's money, making sure that the owners always have trainers who are good enough to do this?
it is the economy, stupid, really. It is about money, you know. And I backed Preston to beat Norwich the weekend, and the bet didn't go my way. And I was kind of thinking, why did I back Preston to beat Norwich? In the overall scheme of things, their budget is quite low, and they shouldn't be beating Norwich. And I'm backing them because they need to win the game. And it really, like, football's all about money, and that's why that's why Italy's been struggling. That's why England's been doing so well. Racing's all about money, and it's essentially all about prize money. And prize money in Ireland has been very good relative to Britain. But that has been down to the government basically paying 50% of it. That's not going to go on forever. Absolutely no chance. Leo Varadkar is pictured wearing a Leinster jersey today. He doesn't look particularly kind of natural wearing a Leinster jersey, but what will Leo Varadkar think in terms of pumping money into racing? What happens if a left-wing government comes in Ireland? Like, there's no way racing will get these handouts it's been getting. So racing needs to be able to support itself and put prize money into place that it's better than Britain. It is cyclical, but at the moment there's far better prize money in Ireland than Britain, and it's much more economic to have a horse in Ireland than Britain. So the horses that came through Point to Points that were sold to Britain are now being bought by Michael O'Leary, and as long as Michael O'Leary and JP McManus have that urge to have horses, which may not go on forever. I mean, if Michael O'Leary pulled out in the morning, there'd be a big sea change, you know. There wouldn't be an owner to take in. Like, they spend an awful lot of money on young horses, and they don't really care how much they spend to a degree. So it's cyclical, but I don't see Irish racing being in any trouble in the near future. But it's completely down to prize money. All
right, what are we looking at? How are we going to get back on the winning?
We need help.
Yeah,
we need help, really. I think Sam Crow's 5-2 to win on Friday. He's 5-2 because people don't think he'll run in the race. I think he will run in the race, and he'll go off odds on, if not favourite. A little treble maybe with Penhill, Sam Crow and Footpad to win the 2 mile novice race will pay around 7, 8, 9 to 1, something like that. But Sam Crow at 5-2 at the moment. This is a slight long-term bet. He's only running on Friday. If he runs in a different race, you have to put your hand up and say, I made a calculated investment that lost.
Yeah.
I won but I lost, or I lost but I won. Sam Crow will win, I think, if he runs in the race.
When does the non-runner no bet kick in?
No such thing for Punchestown.
Oh, right.
So you need to be declared, and then obviously it's the same as if it's a non-runner, you get your money back any other race. But let's not worry about that. Let's just hope that he runs in the race and wins.
Are trebles not the fastest way to the poorhouse?
No. You just, as long as you're getting an edge on all 3 horses, and hopefully we are. But Footpad is 1-2. He's nothing to beat. Penhill would be the slightly suspect one of it. But you know, we want to bump up the odds. We need a good price winner. You know.
Yeah.
And I think Sam Crow's the bet at the moment. But if you follow me throughout the week, we're doing a bit on a few very social media forums. I'll and a few medias. I'll keep people updated on my tips throughout the week. But hopefully we have a good week, because it's 5 long days.
It is 5 long days. It's a long owl festival.
It's a long old festival, and you know, if you're struggling by Friday, hopefully Sam Crow will get you over the line. But I feel like I've learned a lot about rugby today, actually. I think this could be my new betting truck. Yeah, I thought Brian really educated me on the ins and outs of the game there.
You did have one of the world's best rugby players of all time sitting beside you, so I hope that I'm not
trying to big him up, but I thought he was really good to, like, he actually made it interesting for somebody who's not that interested in rugby. I wonder, will he take my betting advice in the future?
We'll have to wait and see. Watching it off the ball AM with a Google Chromecast, perfect dinner time viewing from Brisbane. Well, hello Brisbane. I hope the weather is as good there as it has been here for the last couple of days. Although there was a nip of winter in the air this morning as well.
I cycled in actually just like this. It was fresh, but it's a little bit cold. A little bit cold.
Our 2 days summer is over.